Well, hello again, all you magnificent monsters. Let's continue. Let's continue on from the previous video where we were talking about how we graph quadratic equations. So again, the master equation that we need everything to be in would look something like this. ax minus h squared plus k. And the variables that matter, the ones that we care about that indicate how the shape of the graph is going to go, are the a values, the h values, and the k values. So let's practice this. Let's say we had this equation here. Y is equal to, let's say we have x squared plus 4x plus 7. And I was asking you to graph this. Okay, so this is the way that we do this. Step number 1. Always we check to see if we can factor the original thing. And the way that we factor it is we look at the two numbers here, the 4 and the 7. What we need to do is I need two numbers that are going to, I'm just going to call them unknown plus star, just because of that original. Okay, unknown star, we need these two numbers that have to add up to make 4, and at the same time, those two numbers have to multiply to make 7. Okay? Well, this is where we have a problem. The problem is that it's kind of hard to figure out what those numbers might be. Like, look at this. If I factor out a 7, if I do the little factor tree thing, the only numbers that multiply out to make 7 are 7 and 1. And there's no way that we can add these together such that we'd end up with a 4. So we have a problem. This is the problem. Put a little arrow there. That 7, you can say, is the wrong number. It's not going to work in order for us to factor out with the 4. So here's what we do. So that's always step 1. Just double check to see if you can in fact factor it, and if not, then here's what we do next. Oh, let's keep with the blue. Okay, so stage number 2. Hopefully, again, this is just a reminder, but we would rewrite the equation grouping the x's together. We're going to need a different number instead of 7, so I'm going to write it like this. Put a parenthesis, x squared plus 4x plus something. We need something else, and we just shove that 7 all on its lonesome on the side. It's like, we don't like you. Boo. Frowny face. Poor 7. It didn't do anything, right? It was just hanging out there, but, oh, never mind. This is getting ridiculous. Okay, so here's what we got to do. We got to figure out what number should we plug in here so that we can factor it down to get some sort of form like this. And here's what you do. Here's the steps. Make a note of this if you have not already made a note. What you do is you take, I should probably type this, but whatever. I got my pen in hand. I'm just going to keep going. Take middle number, which in this case, the middle number is the 4, right? So take the middle number, and you are going to divide by 2. Which, okay, so here, I'm just going to put this in green as we go. Like in this example, the middle number was 4. So then if we divide it by 2, we end up getting 2, right? And then the last step is square the result. Okay, and that would get us to, well, squaring something is just multiplying a number by itself. So if we divide something by 2, we ended up with 2. And I multiply it 2 by 2, that just gets us right back to 4 again. Okay? So the number that we want to put in this blank space is going to be this. So I'm going to put a 4 in there. So that would be step 4. We would have y equals, parenthesis, x squared plus 4x plus 4, and then plus that unwanted 7 on the side. Okay, but here's the thing though. I just increased this by 4. So in order to keep the equation the same, I have to do the same thing on this side too, right? Remember our equal sign? That rule is that whatever we do to this side, we have to do the same thing to this side and vice versa. So really, our equation should be y plus 4 is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 7. Right? Because if I added a 4 here, I have to add a 4 here as well to keep things the same. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit to give us, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. So then all we have to do is just simplify this a little bit. Let's look at this. I'll put step 6 over here. So then, given this thing, how can we factor this? X squared plus 4x plus 4. Well, if you think about it, two numbers that multiply out to make 4, but also add up to 4, it's 2 and 2, right? Hopefully. Hopefully you follow that. Okay, so this would be this. We'd have y plus 4 is equal to x plus 2 times x plus 2 plus 7. If that confused you, pause the video. Think about this part right here, and then also think about foiling out that, and you should end up with the same exact thing. Okay? Well, but that's just the same thing right here. That's just the same thing. Let's put that back in there again. As x plus 2 squared. Right? Because it's the same number. It's this number, x plus 2 times itself, x plus 2, so we can just abbreviate it as just x plus 2 squared. Plus that's unwanted 7. Okay. All right. Now, last step. This is really, honestly, at this point, this is we're pretty much done. This is really what we're after. We're just trying to get the x number, whatever we started with. What was it again? Right here. X squared plus 4x plus 7. We want it to look something like this. We wanted to get x in some sort of number squared, which we have. So once we've got that, the last thing we just have to do is get y all by itself. So we would just move the 4 over here, and that would just be this stage right here. We could subtract 4 from both sides, right? So y plus 4 minus 4 gets us just to y, and that gets us to x plus 2 squared plus 7 minus 4, right? Because if I subtract 4 from this side, I have to do the same thing over here. And that is just going to be y is equal to x plus 2 squared. 7 minus 4, well, that's just positive 3. And boom, bapa doom, we're done. I feel like I should do the Owen Wilson voice. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's just sketch this. I know. I'm sorry. It has to come out. But here. So then let's just sketch this. Let's think about what our numbers are. Remember the master equation is y is equal to ax minus h squared plus k. This h number tells us left and right. That number tells us up and down. This one tells us whether we flip it or stretch it. So let's run through this here. For the first one, the a number, right, is just going to be 1. Which means it's positive, so it goes upwards, and we don't. If it's 1, we don't really stretch or shrink it. And then the h number is positive 2. And remember, we do the reverse sort of thing. If it's positive 2, that means we have to shift 2 units to the left instead of to the right, which I always get confused over that. But yeah. And yeah, and then the final thing is the k is a positive 3. So that would mean we go up 3. So let's do these two numbers first. Let's do the 2 and the 3. So we have, okay, we need to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. So put that there. And then we need to go to the left 2. So let's go 1, 2, negative 2. So that tells us our starting point, or vertex for you nerds out there, is right there. Right, where it intersects, matches up with negative 2 and 3. And then we know that since we have a positive 1 here, it's just going to be a regular old upward going parabola, something like so. I know, it's awfully drawn, but you get the idea. And we're done. And that's it. Bing, baba, ding. Okay? That's all you have to do. This video is running a little bit long. I'm going to pause here. If anybody is panicked or does not have any idea how I just did what I did, let me know, and I will add more content as needed. But this hopefully should be enough of a crash course to let you handle the homework problems that I'm about to send you. All right, peace out, my peeps.